Hello and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijasan. On this week's episode of the program, we will be discussing about the federal government's proposal to borrow 2 trillion naira from the pensions fund. We also have interesting news stories for you. We will be right back.
At this process, maybe they will kill some of us and so on and so forth.
The labor unions in Adamawa State are on a collision course with Governor Ahmadu Fintiri over a sack of 5,000 civil servants. The unions, while registering their displeasure, urged the government to rescind its decision.
People are entitled to hold their opinions. However, no responsible government, much more a democratically elected government, will want to inflict pain on its people. Yet, government must take decisions that sometimes are tough, but if they are the right decisions, they need to be taken. And so, government reviewed employments and employment processes that has taken place before it came into office and set up committees to review those employments. It decided that those who are employed after September 2018, their employments be reviewed or cancelled.
But Governor Fintiri insists his action is in the best interest of the state and to save civil servants from being embroiled in politics. The governor, who spoke through his director for media and publicity, said his sack of the civil servants followed due process based on the advice of an investigation committee.
There has been no category of workers that have been sacked. If you are my worker, of course, you would have been found to be on the payroll of the government. However, after due diligence and screening and verification, it has been found that there were certain category of people whom were said to have been employed at the last minute of the past administration, who have not even been captured within this civil service structure.
The aggrieved workers vowed not to be deterred from going ahead with their demonstration despite warnings by the police to shelve it.
We are out here to protest the sacking of over 10,000 workers of Adamawa State who were employed duly by the past state government of Adamawa State. But we are not being intimidated in any way by this their action. We are citizens of Nigeria. The police were recruited or employed in order to protect the life and citizens of each and every citizens of Nigeria.
Adamawa civil servants want Governor Fintiri to reverse his decision to avoid a repetition of what happened during Governor Bindo's administration. Then, thousands of teachers employed by Governor Nyako were sacked but later reinstated by the courts, who also ordered the state government to pay 500 million naira.
Recently, the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission revealed a planned review of salary and emolument of political office holders. The move is attracting public outcry over the impact of such increase on Nigeria's economy and government spending. Labour leaders are at the forefront of the call against the plan. Chairperson of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria Lagos State Chapter, Benga Ekundayo, is of the view that the political class earn more than enough, so there will be no justification for the increase in the salaries for political office holders.
I don't think it's the right time to be calling for increase in allowances and salaries of political office holders or political aides. How much do they earn before? Are they going to come to the public and tell us how much they earn now, why they want to increase it? We've seen what we did with the minimum wage for workers. In a country where someone lives on 18,000 naira as minimum wage, where can that take you to? So the argument for that was clear. So how much do they earn as political office holders that now warrant an increase now? Let them bring it up. Let us see clearly how much they earn now. The allowances, the sitting allowances and everything they earn. It's just wrong for people to continue to think selfishly about themselves while many people are out there in the cold looking for what. See, there are a lot of Nigerians, they are not thinking of what to eat tomorrow. They are thinking of the next meal. They don't have breakfast, they are thinking of lunch. And so people are living fat and even thinking of increasing their salaries. I don't know why we should be thinking about that. So I think every well-meaning Nigerian should condemn that in its entirety, and we should speak firmly against that. It's just unacceptable.
Other unionists urged the federal government to jettison the idea of a salary increase for political office holders. According to them, capitalism is at its peak. Workers have been asking for improved salaries and wages for over 20 years of democracy.
They are trying to tell workers that there is sufficient fund to pay them the minimum wage. Clearly, if the country had challenges with finances, they will not make that demand. After all, the budget goes through them. They approve money for the executive. And so they are just like telling workers that they should press hard. Otherwise, which economy are they going to get this payment from? The other thing too is that maybe they have looked at the executive arm of government and they discover that they are living much more better than they are doing in the House, Legislative Assembly. And so they want to be at par with their political colleagues. So when it comes to their payments of their emoluments, they are operating a unitary system. And when it comes to paying workers, they want to begin to bring another argument. It doesn't make sense.
In fact, the take home of average workers cannot take them home. And that's what ASU, for example, and other unions have been clamoring for. Our take home cannot take us home. Whereas this political class has been having, in fact, they've been living in paradise, while the rest of us have been living in hell. So this gap must be bridged. You see, the idea of the national minimum wage that was signed into law for a long time, quite a number of states has not implemented it. And even those that have implemented it, they are not paying their arrears. VAT has gone up. Even when you make calls now, you pay VAT on virtually everything. The only thing you don't pay VAT for is to go to Maput. I mean, life is becoming difficult by the day. And yet, they are still thinking of increasing their package. It is evil.
Organised Labour also raised concern about pensions for workers. They claim that while retired workers go through hell to get their allowances, politicians smile home with bumper severance packages after office.
The issue of 2 trillion naira pension fund, which the federal government intended to borrow to finance the project, as a committee, we are still waiting for the National Pension Commission to write the committee, which I believe they will do, for us to know the terms and why they decided to do that. And as a representative of Nigerian people and the pensioners, they truly believe in this committee, and we have to look very well to ensure no pensioner money is misused.
On the profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the Secretary General of the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria. Comrade Bashir Lawal is concerned about what the fate of a retiree will be with the way pension funds are managed in Nigeria. He also spoke about the implementation of a new national minimum wage and what workers should expect from the union. Take a listen. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
A lot has been happening in your sector, especially when it has to do with the new minimum wage and the implementation. But first, I would like to ask you, what should your members be expecting from the Secretariat, especially as we're beginning the year 2020?
Thank you very much. The expectation is very clear. It's for the union to work harder as regards their welfare issues. That's all they want. And once they see a semblance of hard work, which the union is putting in, and they will understand and they will cooperate and assist the union towards achieving success. That's the expectation. It's very clear.
Okay, the federal government announced recently that they have plans to borrow 2 trillion naira from the pensions fund. As a unionist, what do you think about this?
When we hear the news, we were taken aback. First and foremost, we should all understand the fact that the money they are talking about is purely workers' contribution. Workers' money meant for their upkeep when they leave service. So what we are saying is the workers have representatives that the government will engage when it comes to this kind of... so if it is federal government's money, they can do it the way they like. But once it comes to workers' money, you have to sit down and discuss with the trade unions representing the interests of the workers. And this time around, you are talking of the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council. And you will be surprised that even PENCOM, that is supposed to be overseeing this whole thing, this whole pension thing, you are writing them for meetings, they are not even responding. So I think something is wrong somewhere. Now you want to borrow 2 trillion naira. We don't know the rate of interest that will be charged on the money, how you want to refund back the money. You know, something is wrong somewhere. The whole thing is not hard enough. And through the office of the head of the civil service of the Federation, we have called for a meeting with PENCOM. And we are hopeful that in the next couple of days, the meeting will be arranged so that this issue will be brought to the fore. You don't even know how much is left in the kitty. And now we are saying, okay, even from this humongous fund, over 10 trillion naira, this money is yielding interest on a regular basis. What are you doing for the contributors, apart from when they will retire and you even delayed the payment of their whatever they are entitled to? So these are some of those gray areas that we need to sort out. And I want to believe that if the meeting is called, we will iron these things out. And if they still believe that it's going to be business as usual, they are not going to call a meeting. After some time, we'll be tired. Then they should be preparing for us. We will take a visit to their office and tell them that what they are midwifing is workers' money. It's not their money.
I'm talking about PENCOM. From information that I've gathered over the last couple of months, or even years since the MD assumed office, there's been this silence from PENCOM, and also this attitude of people trying to get information from PENCOM, and it seems to be faceless at the moment. As a worker, do you think this should be coming from a management as crucial as that of PENCOM?
The scenario being painted, the scenario is not normal. It's not normal. They should give information as and when due. When journalists approach them, they should give information, because when they give information, the workers who are the owners of the fund, they are sitting on, will be able to understand what is going on. But you see, when the whole thing is being run like a secret society, even when you write letters to the head, as you have rightly observed, the tone of response shows that you are looking at somebody who believes that that money belongs to her. It's not so. It is workers' money, for God's sake. You are answerable to the workers. So when the workers' representatives come on board to ask for questions, you should feed them with the right answer, so that when they go back and their members at meetings want to know what is happening, you will be able to explain. But this is not what is happening. It's not what is happening. It's so sad.
So would you say that a worker's life is guaranteed after retirement? With this way in terms of which our pensions are being managed?
I can't say so. I can't say so. When somebody will just sit down one day and say somebody wants to borrow 2 trillion naira, under what terms? Because before you know what is happening, this government will go like any other government, only for those coming to now start telling you that the papers were not tidied. And before you know what is happening, the money is lost. Now see a lot of recoveries that are coming to the fore, and everybody is jumping from one table to the other. When these things were happening, some people were making noise, but they looked at them as busybodies. Before you knew what is happening, for some people in government, they look at you as enemies of the people. But now everybody wants to partake in the sharing of what is coming in. It's so sad. It's so sad. We should wake up to our responsibilities, all the organs of government, so that we ask questions. If we have a particular organ that is not doing well, that is not answerable to the people, I mean, the appropriate organ like the legislature, they should also wake up and parley with us so that we can put these things right, and people will understand that they are holding positions in trust, not that they are holding that position because they are well read, they are betterly read than others. No, it's not so. It's not so. So we are not happy. Nobody can guarantee that maybe in the next 10 years people will retire and collect their entitlement. Because unless they become more transparent and we all see that things are being done the way it should be done. Otherwise, how do you explain a scenario somebody retires contributory pensions? You cannot even pay him within 2 years. And along the line, a lot of people have died. So how do you explain to that? What kind of compensation do you want to give to the families? Then where lies the input for over 35 years that you have put in the service of your fatherland? I mean, it's quite sad, and we need to change some of this orientation. Otherwise, we are in trouble.
Talking about the new national minimum wage, how would you rate compliance? Would you say that compliance is high? Then also looking at bargaining, collective bargaining during the tripartite meeting at state levels, would you say that workers at the state level or local government or even at the federal level was able to get a good deal?
Yeah, thank you very much. At the federal level, we are all privy to all what transpired. The negotiation of the consequential adjustment of the minimum wage took about 6 months, and in the final analysis, reasons prevailed. We signed the agreement, and the federal government promised to implement before the end of last year, and I want to commend them for doing exactly that. The implementation had started. Workers had collected their arrears at the federal level. Kudos to the federal government, kudos to the Minister of Labour who kept to his words, and kudos to the acting head of the Civil Service of the Federation who also kept to our words. So we sorted it out at the federal level, and payment had continued. And at the state level, as you know, the thing was slow in starting because most of them were waiting for the federal government to complete the exercise so that they use the outcome of that process as a kind of benchmark for use in talking to labor. So, and as we speak, about 17 states have completed negotiation. 18 states are still talking, minus one state, which is Kebbi, that decided on its own without consulting anybody, discussing with workers, and came up with just 1,500. And I'm just using this opportunity to tell our dear governor, he's a very good friend, Governor Bagudu, to call labor for meaningful discussion so that they can sign an agreement that will be acceptable to both parties. Otherwise, the secretariat of the movement will be shifted to that state, and it will be too embarrassing. So minus Kebbi, it was Taraba too that was trying to dilly-dally, and we are hopeful that in the next couple of days we'll wrap up the whole discussion in these states that I'm talking about, and we'll be able to sign an agreement so that out of 36, if we have 35, the Abuja municipality, they've signed the agreement, and implementation has also commenced. So it's a fair deal. It's a fair deal, even though in terms of the outcome of the discussion, we are not too satisfied, but we will still accept it as patriotic citizens of this country, and as people who also mean well for the system. Otherwise, we will have insisted that implementation in the states should also take effect from the date Mr. President signed the minimum wage something into law, which was 18th of April. So a lot of changing had taken place. Only Lagos State paid with effect from October. Most of the ones we are having now is either January or February. So where lies the backlog of arrears? But like I said, well, let's move on, and so that other things that we want to discuss with the government in respect of the welfare of workers, we can kickstart those other ones.
Okay, but Niger State workers are actually on strike at the moment. I know lots of ultimatums were given before we had states comply to even negotiations. So, in total, do you see the Secretariat embarking on industrial action for failure of some states to probably implement the new national minimum
Yes,
wage?
once negotiation breaks down and we don't see any semblance of seriousness on the part of a particular state government, it is industrial action. Like you rightly said, we've started in Niger, because what the man did was to just, in fact, he went outside what the two sides agreed, to start giving pittance to people from level 7, 8, and 9, 1,000, 2,000. I don't know where he got that from. I don't know where he got them from. So some of them that are not serious, what we know how to do best is what the law had given us in terms of our own position, our own trade as a pressure group, is the issue of strike. And we'll use it to the optimum towards ensuring that our members are not marginalized.
Okay, lots of agitations are ongoing as regards the increase in the value-added tax from 5% to 7.5%. That means 2.5% increase. Many people have attributed it to the increase in the new national minimum wage. Are there concerns from your members as regards the value-added tax?
There are very, very many concerns, very many concerns, because it's like taking back what you gave through the left hand, using the right hand.
Well, with 1,000 naira increase, would that cover?
That one is even, you have even taken part of what they are earning before. So it's a very sad situation, I must be very frank to you. So the disposable income left at the hand of workers had reduced drastically. In fact, some of them that used to move from one state to the other to prosecute some assignment for government, they are worse hit, because most hotels have increased their rates now, you know, without even telling anybody. Well, that is the product they are selling, you understand. And if you go to the market now, every other thing had gone up. So in the final analysis, what government will have achieved by ensuring that this minimum wage is implemented across board, they have lost it. They have lost it. In terms of productivity that should be enhanced, I don't know what is going to happen, you know, because now workers are becoming more demoralized. You understand? And once your morale is low, you know the resultant effect. Nobody needs to tell us that. You don't need a crystal ball to be able to understand that. You understand? And the ability of workers now to partake effectively from the purchase of those unsold stocks, gathering dust in industries all over, that ability too will be reduced now, even more than what it used to be. You understand? Because the purchasing power now, when the little percentage that be adding to your salary may be lower than when you were earning what you were earning before, and the value-added tax thing was not there, you know. This is what we are talking about. This is what we are talking about. You see, we need to be proactive in dishing out some of these policies, looking at the effect on the people, looking at the effect on the workers, and factoring that into whatever we are doing. Could you now say, okay, government eventually decided to concede to implementing consequential adjustment because they know that they are going to increase value-added tax? This is what the workers are saying. And do you blame them? Because at the end of the day, it is what you are able to achieve with the little that you have been given at the end of 30 days that matters. You see, school fees, you know what is going on now. Transportation, you know what is going on now.
Yeah, no one knows it all. Meaningful contributions is actually very needed, and each tripartite system should actually be consulted on most policies that the government will have. Recently, there was a statement allocated or credited to the Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission as regards possible increase in the salaries or emolument of political aides or workers. What's your take on this? Is this what we need at this point?
No, my advice to them is to put a stop to that plan. If they have it in their something that they should put it, they should not try it. Because the moment they do it, before you know what is happening, even the leadership of Labour might not be able to contain it. People might go to the streets themselves. Because what have we done? Is it the consequential adjustment that you want to call increase? It's a marginal thing. And if you know the wide gulf between the salaries of civil public servants and this political office holder, it's so humongous that you are now looking at it. Are they also telling us that that is part of their own consequential adjustment? No, they need to tell us.
Things have gone up, you know.
They need to tell us. No, what they have there earning now, as far as we are concerned, is too much compared to what they are putting in. So we are even advocating advocating reduction.
Does it mean that we don't ask questions enough as Nigerians or as workers?
We've started asking questions, so that's why through this medium too, we're also telling them that if they have this plan, it's better they drop it. It's better they drop it. People are not looking at it. It's not funny at all. It's not funny at all. Because a scenario whereby the falcon will not hear the falconer, the labor leaders may not be able to control their members towards saying, show understanding. And by the time people resort to self-help, you know the resultant effect. So it is offending the sensibility of an average Nigerian, not this particular period of time. You want to, somebody that is earning 1.5 million naira, you want to add again. And you know when they are adding, they are always looking at the variables.
Not 7.5.
No, not 7.5. Before you know it, they can even talk of 150% increase.
Wow.
That the risk involved in the job we are doing, this and that. We are comparing what we are doing with what is happening in the other climes. Whereas when you are asking for this thing, they will start calling you names. You are asking for somebody to move from 30,000 to 32,000 naira. They call you names, they blackmail you. They present you as if you are anti-system. So this is the thing. So when I hear as far as I'm concerned, it's a joke. They are joking. It's the greatest joke of the century. So, but if they are serious, I'm advising very strongly that they should drop it. The timing is wrong. The timing is wrong. And the resultant effect may be more than what they thought will happen. That no, they will just serve for 2 days and no, because you know the beginning of some of these problems, you don't know the end. Where we are now, some actions and inactions of the past resulted into what we are seeing now. It's not something that happened yesterday or day before yesterday. It's a cumulative effect of some of these bad policies that the result we are seeing now. So the earlier we start getting it right, the better for everybody. Otherwise, it will be as if you have deliberately divided the country into two. Those who have a say, those who will be confined to dustbin of no, you don't do that. That's not the way to run the system.
Obviously, there's a need for engagement from government, organized private sector, and labor. It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijasan. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.